Hi, everyone. Cayman Reynolds here, and I hope you are doing well, preparing for that Christmas season and spending time with family and friends. I definitely know I'm looking forward to some of that. A lot of it's the good food, sometimes it's the company, all of that kind of stuff. Yes, Alex, let's go. Hey, thanks for hopping in all the way from, oh, I can't remember which country you're from, but maybe it's the United States. I can't remember. It's hard to keep track of everybody. So please be kind and remind me, and I'll not forget as quickly the second time. Hey, good to see you. Good to see you guys. Thank you. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. I hope you have some questions for me as well. We also have a special guest we'll be bringing in here in about 10 to 15 minutes and talking about a product that I'm going to be trying out this year. And I'm looking forward to trying something in a totally different category than what I've ever tried before. And I think that it could be really helpful. Cayman, when did you find time to write a book? And yeah, that's a great question. You just kind of have to force some things to happen. And honestly, Blake Shook had the idea and then graciously invited me into the project and asked me to critique anything that needed critique. There wasn't a whole lot to work with. Blake and I really agree a lot on how to keep bees. And I think at a certain point, you learn enough about the fundamentals. There's just a lot of similarities. Blake is a very impressive businessman and a commercial beekeeper. And but there were some different takes that we had on different ways to make splits, different ways to deal with swarms, and different techniques for feeding, different opinions on buckets. And this is a straightforward book, folks. This isn't like my live streams where it's really scatterbrained. This is very methodical. Hey, this is how do we best feed our bees, and we lay out that as best as possible. And there's a couple zingers in there every now and then, but mostly this is you have these questions. These are the most common questions in beekeeping, and here's the answers with some nuance to help you really go from an inexperienced beekeeper to an intermediate beekeeper. And there's a lot of knowledge in there for intermediate beekeepers to be able to fine tune and go to the next level. So this book is designed to help people get the answers they need. Okay. So the Chris is going to actually leave that book link. For those who don't know, I have co-authored a book with Blake Shook of the Bee Supply and the Commercial Bee Supply. My Hummerbee actually came from he's a dealer of Hummerbee. And so I want to say thanks to those guys for selling some really good machines. And thanks, Blake, for being at our conference. I will be speaking with Blake and Bob and Josh Hager. And afterwards, we will have a book signing on the golden rules of beekeeping, a book by Blake and Cayman Reynolds. And we just wrote something to help people out. There's a lot of information out there that's pretty watered down. It's mostly for hobby beekeepers, and that's perfectly fine. There are entry level books, but this is really a book to take you from that entry level and well beyond that. Hey, Ian, good to see you in the chat tonight. 29 degrees negative, terrible wind tonight, and the bees are cozy in the winter shed. Well, at least somebody's feeling good. I hope you have a really good overwintering. I really do appreciate Ian for sending us that Canadian honey of yours. I tease you about it all the time, but I am really looking forward to it, as well as many other people, of trying Ian Stepler's Manitoba honey. And so while we're on that segue, the North American Honey Bar is something that we started right after I got back from Appimondia. And I want to say a big thank you to Paula Messer, who is our honey bar coordinator. She's done a fantastic job. And we already have 109 entries, I believe that it is. But we need a lot more. And you ask, well, why? We're hoping to have at least 2 to 3 good representatives of each state or province. And we also realize there's other areas in North America. And so if somewhere in Greenland, somewhere in Mexico, that they want to be a part of this, we will totally create space for you. Just reach out to us. But this is our first year, and we want to make sure that we do a good job. Right in this photo, thank you for pulling that up, Chris. You can see that there are yellowed states, and provinces and white areas as well. The white ones mean we have no honey in those areas, but the yellow ones do not mean that we are completely finished out there. We may only have one type of honey from Washington and two types of honey from California. And California is one of the biggest beekeeping locations in the world. So we want to have some variety. North Californian honey, South Californian honey, star thistle, wildflower, you name it. And I want to say a big thank you to Bob Benny, who just donated a ton of honey that he brings in. Two of the varieties are his own, and then he's got some Montana clover that he brings in, some Sanfoin. He's also bringing in some blueberry honey from up in the Northeast and some Californian orange blossom honey. Of course, his sourwood and a few other things. And we have other folks bringing sourwood. We have folks even bringing the honeydew honey from the spotted lanternfly. And, whether you like it or not, some of us are going to be dealing with that in the future. So this is a super exciting event that we're going to be adding this year to where you can go through this honey bar and taste these different flavors. And we're going to be able to get some great shots and use this to help promote the industry of beekeeping, because it is very diverse. It's not just golden honey. It's motor oil black to paper white, everything in between. And so I want to say thank you to some of our platinum sponsors at the show right now. I typically don't do this on my YouTube channel, but I want to throw them a bone. They've done some great things. Dadent, especially, I'm going to do a big shout out for them. 4,000 people is what we're going to be probably experiencing this year at the show. 7,000. Boy, that would be a big show. 4,000 people is what we estimate we're going to have this year with vendors, staff, and everybody, which will be 500 bigger than we had last year. We may top that. Things are going pretty good in that front, but we'll just see how the year finishes out. Dadent has sponsored popcorn for everybody. And so this is going to be some fresh popcorn made in Louisville, and they've sponsored this. You'll be able to go to the Dadent booth, and it's going to be a cool display. And so if you're going to see, a panel discussion with myself and Josh Hager and Blake and Bob, you can eat some popcorn. If it's really bad, you can throw stuff at us. Please don't do that. I'm up for 7,000. Laurel says she's not okay with that. So you've been out. What? I'm looking for something, Chris. Come on, I'm drawing a blank here. She's a higher rank. You've been
ranked.
There we go.
Outranked. Yes.
So thank you, Dadent, for doing that. With all of these companies, the deadlines for their deals is coming up very soon. And so any of the companies, whether that's the Hidden Hollow Dancing Bee, Apicare, Apis Biologics combined booth, several of them have deals going. So be sure to look at these companies and see what they have, the early pre-orders. A lot of the deals still are there at the show, but there's a finite amount of product on some of these things, especially the specialty equipment. And I want to say a thank you to Dadent. I want to say a thanks to Rossmann for, yet again, I believe this is the 4th year they have sponsored our coffee. And this year it's the coffee, tea, and hot chocolate, brought to you by Copper Canyon Coffee Roasters. They are awesome. They support so many of our Next Gen, which is our youth program, and so many other things in beekeeping as well. What really makes the Bee Expo great is the people that we have here. And we do allow everyone to get creative, and they do. And that's really what makes the show special. So Rossmann is sponsoring all of that. Be sure to check out their deals as well. They specialize in cypress, woodenware, and sell packages and all kinds of things. I want to say a big thank you to Larrabee's, and you can see their logo on this lanyard right here. This is white is this year's queen color, or this coming year. So Christopher Frankenberg from Washington, thank you for coming. This was the prototype model. You are not a VIP, by the way. We were just testing that out, but you can feel like a VIP when you're at the expo eating that popcorn. And so thank you, Larrabee's, for doing that. Their booth is the same place it was last year, and they have like almost $50 off a vaporizer at our show. It depends on which model, but I think there's $45 to $50. That's a big savings on these machines. And if you add up all these things, it can really help offset some of your expenses of coming to the show. So thanks, Rob, with Larrabee's. And then last but not least, Hilco. Thank you, John Hill, again for being a platinum sponsor, sponsoring our honey show, and also the forklift for our vendors. John does a lot of stuff behind the scenes. And do not forget, if you are wanting to get bulk ordered pollen patties, we have the Global and Hilco. It's a combined, and Apis Biologics have all gone together to bring you the semi-load pricing at the show, where you can get pollen patties for $2.10 a pound. It's super easy to order this year. You just go to the Hilco website, their B Expo deals, and you got to get them because they're fixing to run out. We always sell out of the semi every year, and we have to put the order in here in the next little over a week. So, but whenever the semi loads up, fills out, we're done. So that could be Monday. So there's the global patties as the Apis Biologics. For the price, you cannot beat these patties, and you can save a lot versus shipping them online. So we have a lot more to talk about. I hope you have some B Expo questions. There is going to be a segment at the end of our special guest where we are going to be taking your B Expo questions. So save those, put them in the side comment. Chris will keep those saved, and we will get to those questions. And without further ado, I want to bring our special guest and one of our vendors at the show, Justin J. Brown from Apicare. Justin, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, hey, how you doing, Cayman? It's very, very nice to be here.
Oh, busy, doing good, very blessed. This is a great industry that we're in.
It is.
Beekeepers are awesome. I was just at the honey producers, and it doesn't matter if they're running 20,000 hives or 2 hives. Most of the people in our industry are very salt of the earth type of folks and families. And that's what I really love is, getting to go to these shows and you get to meet the families. But a lot of those families would like to meet a company like yours that has been doing business for several years, but I don't think many of us know who you are and what you do. So I think we're fixing to find out, and hopefully we won't regret it afterwards.
I'm hoping the same thing, Cayman, but I'm not going to give any promises. After I discuss what I do, sometimes some of it is very helpful, and sometimes some of it is kind of new information, and
sure,
it takes a little bit to digest, but. I've got, a lot, like how you said, I've been in the industry a while. Commercially is mostly, I actually started commercial beekeeping in my early 20s, and it evolved into what I'm doing now. The product Apicare has actually been on market for almost 14 years. So we have a long standing of history with commercial beekeepers. And we just started to break in last year with the hobbyist. Actually, our premiere of the hobbyist line of the Apicare was at your show last year. We have a lot of feedback coming from that, which is very nice as well. It's good to see people utilizing the product and finding that there is a natural, organic method to deter a lot of the stressors that the hive come across.
So on that note, you're now being able to branch off and be more available to the small scale beekeepers, because commercial beekeepers have been your bread and butter.
Yes.
What for the folks in the comments? What is your product and what is it designed to do in a nutshell for these folks?
In a nutshell, a good way to present it is it's designed to be a preventative. First off. The best way to stop your hives from getting sick is to actually bolster them against any of the stressors that they come across. It can be used as a spot treatment, but mostly it's designed, again, to be a preventative treatment that you utilize throughout the year. When we first started, when I was running on a commercial operation, the gentleman that we were working with was a queen producer as well. And he had a lot of black queen cell virus that was attacking his, production. He was losing anywhere from 10 to 15% of his cells every production day. So he wanted to find a utilization to get rid of the viruses. And so I was, attending college here where I'm at locally in California, and I was still working with him doing beekeeping. And in my pursuits of biology and virology, I came across a unique amalgamation of plant chemicals, and we started utilizing it on his hives. This is now 15 years ago, and we completely eliminated the black queen cell virus from his operation. And that was, pretty profound on our end. And I knew that there was a listing of other benefits to do for it. So we kept, pursuing the initial success that we had
Mhm.
with the black queen cell virus. And now we have, documented evidence of showing, lowering viral loads, and
Mhm.
along with actually increasing the amount of bees that are produced over a normal field winter, or excuse me, field application of
Mhm.
commercial standards of pollination.
Mhm.
So it's pretty beneficial, that the information that we have so far.
Mhm.
A couple of other things that the product does do as well came in, is it alleviates pesticide damage. The big
Interesting.
thing that we saw with that is, especially the last few years, is up in Canada. They have a lot of trouble with fungicides in blueberries in that location.
Mhm.
And I had a gentleman here in California utilize it for sunflowers because of the neonics and the alleviation that we create using the Apicare on his bees. He recommended it to a gentleman up in Canada, and now this is our second successful year of stopping the fungicide damage from blueberries. So that's another, aspect of the Apicare system that also benefits bees, of course, which is, I think, in some cases,
Mhm.
pretty paramount.
Sure. So, beekeepers, I know many who are in Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, and many other states. One of my buddies is in California, and he's surrounded by rice and all these big grain producing locations. Even though your yard might be grass, you're surrounded by cornfields and surrounded by rice and various types of fields that are getting sprayed, and your bees are foraging off of that. And so sometimes those chemicals can, and will get into your hive. So it can help detox that, or at least move that out of their system in some form or fashion. So what I'm understanding is this is more of a therapeutic preventative stuff that helps keep the bees, the virus loads lower, helps prevent these toxins from building up into the bees themselves or into the hive. And so it's preventative to keep the bees much lower stressed, and so you're going to have bigger, stronger, healthier colonies that are
Correct.
going to hit your fall flow and then go into winter with a nice cluster, ideally. And so that's why I'm anxious to try it, is because we do have plenty of miticides on the market, and they have their place, but ultimately the biggest impactor of colony losses in fall are the viruses. And we're getting attacked from multiple different angles. We're having mites directly physically impact our bees. The viruses are copying themselves in our bees. Then if we of course have a bad nutritional year, which is sometimes just how nature works, that obviously stinks. But then we also have these chemicals coming from other areas. So I mean, we're getting hit with a lot of different stressors, and I think that's where sometimes, especially where we can't paint too broadly with a brush of like, well, I don't need it in my area because, you know, some people live in the middle of almost pristine areas with very little agriculture, but some of us are surrounded by it and desperately our bees could use a little bit of help with that. So viruses, all this stuff. Um, I know you have a little bit of stuff to show us. I'll turn it back over to you and let you tell us a little bit more about your product.
Yeah, no, definitely, Cayman. I do appreciate that as well. It's real easy to discuss the product because I have again a lot of years of backing and research and comments from other beekeepers as well. They even had their own unique observations at times that we hadn't observed ourselves throughout the years. They started to discuss about better formed clusters and just the overall demeanor of the bees
Mhm.
themselves, which is something that is nice to hear. To hear an alleviation of tense bees. Those are always the fun ones to play with that start clinking off of your screen, right?
Yeah.
And to get rid of those is a great thing. But yeah, no, on the next slide, it actually shows basically how the Apicare is getting in part of the bee's digestive tract. So that's the main way that the Apicare is introduced. The bees actually eat it, the material, and it forms a symbiotic layer of what I describe, or is what's known as the glycocalyx. It's a sugary sheath layer that's on the outside of all cells in the bee's body. And it's basically the communication network that is utilized by all, mammalian and insectual cells across, pretty much any species that you come across. And it's actually that communication networks, as you can see there on the other uh, picture of this slide, that the virus utilizes in order to introduce itself into the bee's cells. So what the Apicare does is it actually blocks the ability of the virus to be able to communicate with the healthy tissue, and it makes it go inert, so it can no longer infect the bee, and the bees will excrete it out naturally. And one of the other benefits of of it going in through the digestive system too, which we will definitely go over on one of these other slides, is that it bolsters the bacteria of the bee as well, which is a huge thing, as we have learned the last 15, 20 years, that the gut biome of the bee is just as important pretty much as a health situation as the bee itself. On this next slide, though, it does discuss the one of the other benefits of how that it detoxifies the bees, right? So my material contains some of the most powerful antioxidants known to man. And what those do is they actually utilize a negative charge on its outside molecular structure, and it attracts the positively charged metals that are found in toxins and pesticides and other types of surfactants. And it binds to those, and it doesn't allow them to take away the electrons that are on the other types of cells from the bee and cause damage to that tissue. So that's one of the benefits also of it being a preventative program, is that we're removing any type of oxidative stress that the bees come across, which normally happens anyway just from them foraging and utilization of their flight muscles. And here, as we could see in the malphagian tubules, which basically act like the kidney of the honeybee, it is how they exchange waste fluids from their hemolymph in their body. The Apicare also, it helps to increase the ion exchange within those portions of the body, thus again lowering the amount of stress that's coming across the bee, increasing its lifespan, increasing its workability, which of course leads to just a healthier hive in general. So the next slide will actually contain what I like to call the carbon hotels of the material. So as you can see, this is a microscopic view of the material. You can see it's a very, very porous material.
Mm-hmm.
And what this allows is it forces the bacteria to get basically what I call carbon hotels. They can go inside those spaces and they can proliferate in a very stable environment. And it also provides a food source for them. There's many molecular structures on this sprawling molecule that I've provided for the bees, and it allows them to proliferate at a very high rate. The benefit to doing that as a prebiotic and not a probiotic is that
Mm-hmm.
the bees have very selective bacteria that is just to those bees specifically. So instead of trying to throw on billions and billions of microbes that some might be beneficial, I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually stimulating the microbial life that the bees are supposed to have, specifically for the honeybee. We find that is a better advantage because there's no competition between foreign bacterial or microbiota that you don't want to have in that hive. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason why we approached it in that method.
No, I
Uh,
100% agree. And when we were studying ag, there's already beneficial bacteria in those bees. There's already beneficial bacteria in the soil. The trick is, can you create a good habitat for those to proliferate and grow and sustain
exactly.
themselves? So and that's where I've always kind of thought they're already there. What can we do to just increase their number, basically? So that's what you're trying to provide here, is these areas for them to live and feed.
Exactly. That's exactly what we're doing. We're stabilizing the bee's gut to provide basically a larger space for them to proliferate. We've seen that by doing this, it increases digestibility of the food that the bees come across. And again, that
Perfect.
also,
So now they can poop all over my bee suit even more.
yeah,
I
you know,
appreciate that.
we try, we do our best here to increase the yellow spots on anybody's soup caiman.
Hey,
Definitely.
it's one of the three keys to a good life: happy wife, happy life, good night's sleep, and frequent bowel movements. Those are the
Yeah,
three keys.
definitely. I wouldn't ever want to be on the end of number 3 not working right.
That's
Yeah.
right. All right, I'll let you get back to the science
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, no, no worries. The next slide came in, I do believe, this is the a USDA field trials results. So this was done by Dr. Kirk Anderson. He's actually a person that helped discover some of the bee species of bacterium that first inoculate the larva of the honeybee. So he did a year-long field trial with Apicare. We were working with Zach Browning. It started in Turlock almonds, and then after the Turlock almonds, we went to sunflowers, and then the potato sheds after. And this is what they were coming out of the potato sheds, of course, is the February bar. So the big red bar is the application of Apicare to the hives throughout the entirety of this field trial. And you could see by the end of the year, there's a 9-to-1 difference between the control and utilization of Apicare. And this is based on what Randy Oliver used as his best metrics to determine what truly is a good way to measure hive strength.
Mm-hmm.
And we used frames of bees. And so, because that's how, almonds and everything else grade their pollination contracts. So in determination of what would be the biggest measurement for beekeepers, especially in the commercial world, to determine if a product's working, it's usually by hive strength and the number of frames of bees. And again, so this showed that after a year-long field trial, that there was, again, 9 frames of the Apicare treated hives compared to the control, which is 1. The smaller blue line, which is utilization, I have a feed additive too at the time that we were using this, that it still had a 3-to-1 difference.
Okay.
But obviously the spray was much, much, much more potent, which makes sense because you're getting more of the material applied to the bees directly than doing it through a feed system.
Interesting. So that was actually one of my questions, because I have the product, and I plan to really go at it this next season.
Yes.
And you can spray it or you can use it in the feeder. Everyone I've talked to, it says the spray, it's the best way to do it. So when you say spray it, are we talking like a backpack spray? Are we talking like a little, I mean,
Well,
what's, I know for commercial guys, it's all about speed, but what's best? If you're a hobby beekeeper and you buy your product, what would you do?
so with the hobby product, we have a really nice bottle for it to put on a squeeze sprayer.
Mm-hmm.
You do have to get a little bit more of a high heavy duty trigger sprayer though, because the material does have some coarse material inside of the sprayer that can get a little clogged.
Like,
So
just go to one of your garden centers and get a heavy duty
basically, yes.
nozzle. So yeah, we use those. So they could just do that while they're inspecting. Oh,
Yeah, so that was one of the reasons why we do the
good job,
program
Chris.
the way that it is, came in is so the best way to apply the product is twice a month, 1.5 ounces basically every 15, 17 days. And we split it that way to get to more uncapped brood. And also it's in line with a lot of the feeding schedules and hive checks
Mm-hmm.
that most of my commercial guys do. Obviously, that doesn't apply so much to, a backyard beekeeper or hobbyist, or
Mm-hmm.
even a sideline guy, because they could probably visit all their hives as often as they want. So there could be some critiquing to the program if they wanted to. They could apply 1 ounce every week and a half or so, instead of doing the 1.5 ounces. But the main goal is to get 3 ounces on per month of working time for the bees, which most of the time for most beekeepers is a 6 to 7 month schedule.
Mm-hmm.
This big bottle here, that is our commercial size. The hobbyist size, which is there, that will do 1 hive for a 6-month period. So that's designed for it to be an all-inclusive system for one hive when you have it, to just go ahead and that'll keep you covered for the year. Uh, and that's basically how we do it. I do have some guys do it as I describe as the salt and pepper method. They take the lid and they put a perforated one on, and they just tilt it and shake it onto the hive. And they've been doing that about 3 or 4 years. Their guys are good enough to take the bottle and tip it and only apply the proper amount. You can do that with the hobby kit too. It's just a different lid. The lid, instead of being a squirt lid, is one of those twist cap lids, that you pop open and you could squeeze, and you could squeeze the amount that you need on the hive too. The bees really like the material,
Hmm.
so they go right to it. You'll get some nice floral, smells from it as well. And you'll see, how quickly that they eat it, which is something that, a lot of my guys like to observe, is that, unlike a lot of treatments that are really, really caustic or can be kind of disrupting to the hive, this material, the bees enjoy it. You'll see them, actively consume it. And within about 5, 6 minutes, it's all completely gone. So that's another, good aspect of it, is of it being all natural,
Hmm.
is that you don't have to worry about honey contamination. You don't have to worry about safety protocols as well. When you're applying it, you could get it all over you, and nothing's really going to happen. It might turn your skin a little darker for a little bit, but
What's
that's
be wrong with that? White guys like me probably would like to look like we're tanned a little
right.
better.
Exactly. keep
Uh,
away the skin cancer real well.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of a good encompassing of what the Apicare hobby and commercial line does do, Cayman.
Okay, I got you. And so we definitely, as we're going forward, the viruses are a big part of the problem with beekeeping. The mites getting in the way, but one of the things that we've done, and this is again, we're being attacked from all different fronts. Like I've told folks already today, but if you're just tuning in, our bees are getting hit from not only viruses and mites, but there's other stressors like small hive beetles. Sometimes the nutrition is not that great, and if you're in an area with a lot of agriculture, you might be getting some chemical residues that are also impacting your bees. And so,
Very
this is
much.
where I think as beekeepers we need to be looking at not just a miticide, but also nutrition, and then products like this that can kind of smooth things out. And so we're going to give it a shot all next year with all of our bees. I'm really looking forward to that. And
As am I.
then, yeah, well, I mean, I've never tried anything quite like this before. Nothing like this before. Miticides, and we every year that we've dialed things in a little bit more for our bees, we've seen improvements. It's all about momentum. And you mentioned using the product semi regularly because bees don't live that long.
No.
It's a 21-day gestation cycle, and in the springtime, typically our bees are really healthy. But I don't run mine to almonds. I don't live in a I have cows around here. That's about the worst thing. The bees get in a cow patty and start licking up some of the water from that. That's the only thing that
Yeah.
really concerns me around here. I was like, what the heck? Um, but then once we get to June, we get on a full blown dearth early June, and we stay that way in a bad year. If we get a fall flow, maybe the rest of the year, fall flow may be bad weather and just get 3 or 4 days of it. And so it's really important that we have plenty of nutrition in our bees and keeping that momentum going so we can have really large clusters of bees. And so in some years, it's easier to have really good success. In some years, the bees don't look quite as good. But this, not this year, but the previous year, we had a terribly rainy spring. And so it's not just about missing your honey crop. It's also my bees aren't out foraging the pollens because we're in a pollen dearth during that time as well. And so not having some of the frames of pollen that we needed to go through our dearth, that stressed the bees out during that period. And then we also ended up having a drought and having almost no fall flow that year. So it was a kind of a double whammy. We very rarely experienced that. And that's where in those really bad years, a good nutritional program and supplemental program can really help your bees look a lot better going into winter in those rough years. When everything's perfect, well, I mean, life's good, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like that works out very often for me. So what got you into beekeeping? Now, I say you're working with commercial beekeepers and stuff, and you just saw that there was a problem or something, and you're just like, what can we do to
Well,
fix this?
no, no, no. So I live in the fifth largest almond producing county in the world, Merced County.
Merced,
And
yeah.
I have a beekeeper here and fresh out of high school. Uh, yeah, I had one of my stepbrother. He was a beekeeper. He was about 7 8 years older than I am,
Mhm,
and he needed somebody. The person he was working with, that we were doing a orange blossom honey flow down in Fresno,
mhm,
and they needed a couple of extra guys that didn't mind picking up a couple 100-pound boxes, over and over and over again for a few months. And so I went ahead and did it, and I just fell in love with it. I absolutely loved the smells. I loved the biology of the bees, the way that they worked. I've always been kind of a science nut,
mhm,
and that started me down the path of beekeeping. I was about 22 at the time, and so I did that for about a year. I learned all the ropes, I learned all the basics, and then I knew that I wanted more from a knowledge perspective. So I took the knowledge of the beekeeping into college with me, and I focused on the microbiologicals of them, the biologics of it, the viral portions of it, and just nutrition wise. And during my time at college, I kept working with this beekeeper, doing splits and running the queen yards with him, harnessing queens. And it was just, I guess, God's path for me. In
mhm,
truth, while pursuing my collegiate degree, I came across these issues with my colleague of beekeeping, and we were able to alleviate them, or I was able to alleviate them with the Apicare formula, and it just kind of snowballed from there. We trialed it out for almost a year to make sure that there was no detrimental effects. There wasn't a fluke to make there was no other harmful effects to the bees. And it was very difficult actually to even keep it out of people's hands, because from him being a queen breeder, and we were utilizing it in the feed. The very first one made the feed very, very dark,
mhm,
and so the people would come to his office and be like, "Why is your feed almost black?" And he'd be like, "Oh, that's our antiviral." And everybody would be like, "Well, give me some, give me some, give me some." And at the time, it was kind of like, "Well, you got to wait, because we want to make sure, we have a trial period." And it was very hard to keep it out of people's hands. And then once we started down the road of seeing the results, I've just always utilized word of mouth for
mhm.
marketing, and that's basically where it's gotten to us where we are now.
So
Is
you
through.
and so then you reached out, I guess, Doctor, what you say, Kirk Anderson, you said, and
Yes.
then he did your studies and stuff like that, and or was it other somebody else?
So
I
there was a beekeeper that knew Kirk. He's retired now, but Dennis Lohman, really good friend of mine out up here in Arbuckle. He used to have Lohman apiaries and Lohman queens, and he was utilizing my product. He had been using it. He was one of the very first to ever adopt it into his beekeeping practice, and he had seen the results with it. And he just happened to have Kirk. He knew Kirk from other acquaintances, and they were in the elevator together. And Kirk asked him. He goes, "Hey, Dennis, what do you use for your bees?" And he told him about me. And I met Kirk at the California Beekeeping Conference. That must have been I believe 2013, 2012. And he came to my booth, and he told me he wanted to run a study, a field trial with my product, and on what he described as his snake oil test, right? And
yeah.
I am a person that has never wanted to back down from what I call the Pepsi challenge, right? Like I want to put my product against everything to show people that it's not the proverbial snake oil. And had me come in and basically show him how to apply it, and then he had to kick me out because he didn't want to have any biasness, so I couldn't be a part of the study at all. And he called me back a year later and told me the results, that I showed you or on this slide. And then even just last year, there's another, he reiterated that after 8 years of trials, that my product was still the only one to show results like that.
Wow, that's awesome. That's
Yes.
Well, and I know you've been at our show before, and we're happy to have you back. And you guys, along with the Hidden Hollow Group and the Dancing Bee and the King Bee and the Apis Biologics, I believe I got everybody. It's like one apartment or complex of companies right there. But
Really good people.
no, everyone in that booth has always been very easy for us to work with, which I mean, we're pretty easy to please. Just don't be a problem. I mean, honestly. But so all that group is always low maintenance. And then I love seeing the innovation, the diversity with some of the products from the Dancing Bee group. And I got to throw them a little shout with the Dancing Bee Supply because they're doing a workshop or two for us, and they also are doing some interactive stuff in their booth, which will really draw people to your stuff as well, too, Justin. So, maybe you should spray them with a little bit of their product. Those Canadians get really white in wintertime,
They're
and
kind of like the christening.
that's right. Well, we're super thankful. We have a lot of Canadians that come down to the show. I want to say a big shout out to them. This is the North American Honeybee Expo, and we want all the Canadians to not only feel welcome, but to get involved. And this year, we're making a much bigger effort to showcase Canadian stuff. And we always are trying to find Canadian speakers. So if you know of any that would be great for our show, let us know. And thank you for all the Canadians and for Sandra working on getting more Canadian honeys to our North American Honey Bar. We are well on our way to having most of the provinces represented pretty well, and we still have time. And so that's what this show is all about, is to get education on different honeys and different places and different products like Apicare and others, and meet the people who are running the companies. That's, I think, to me, whenever I go to a show, I want to talk to the vendors and the people. The lectures are great too, but I have to pick something. And I prefer talking to people one-on-one, getting to hear their story, and also seeing if they really care about beekeepers or not. Because there's some of the companies you talk to, and it's like, well, I'm not sure these guys know which side of the hive tool to use. And
That's very true.
there's a few of them out there, and we're not here to name those names. But if you come to our show and you talk to enough people, you'll find a couple of those. And you're like, they don't know which side the veil's supposed to be on this thing. So we do really appreciate you, Justin, for coming in and educating us on your product.
I appreciate
there's a lot
it.
yeah. Then thanks for letting me give it a shot this year with my bees. I'm really looking forward to giving it a whole year test next year and helping my bees. I want to have the healthiest bees possible, and with more issues on the way, like it's typical. I think we need to be looking into unique ways to support our bees' immune system. And so, folks, booth 415 is where you can find companies like Apicare and the other groups within there. So go over there and talk to Justin, and maybe he'll sprinkle you with a little bit of the stuff. And people be like, why do you look like that? And that's that Apicare guy. Well, Justin, God bless you. Merry Christmas. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you,
And
Cayman.
we will see you at the Bee Expo.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking super forward to it. And it's all like how you said, it is always better in person.
Oh, it is. So, guys, we'll see you all there. We're going to take your questions. We're going to let Justin go. Justin, we'll see you in the future. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And folks, a big round of applause for Justin. So, yeah, isn't it loud? Whoo, boy, we can hear it. I tell you, there's nothing worse than when I do like a Zoom meeting and I drop some of my jokes. It took me a couple of years to semi get used to it, but especially around COVID when we couldn't get in person very much. I was asked to do so many Zooms, and you couldn't tell if anyone laughed at your jokes or you bombed, and so you just kind of had to live with it. And it just, man, it's tough. And so at least like with this, Justin and I and Chris and I can have a little bit of a conversation, and Chris does a good job since I pay his salary. He's good at laughing at my bad jokes. Thank you, Chris. He didn't realize that was part of the job description. But folks, we have yeah, thank you, Justin. Eric is I believe you're a Colorado beekeeper, aren't you, Eric? Yeah, Jed's a Wisconsin beekeeper. What's a hive tool? He makes equipment. He actually used to keep bees, so he's being facetious. It does have two sides. They aren't laughing at the jokes there. Yeah. Well, you just wish you had jokes. Bazinga. No, that just shows you how old you are, Zach. But I love it. Zach and I were born the same year. Yeah, poor Chris. I know, poor Chris. All right, so Bee Expo questions. We're going to be on here for about another 15 to 20 minutes, taking your questions, talking about the Bee Expo and all of that, because I have been instructed by my wife and Chris, I have to keep these live chats short because my voice is a little bit rougher. Just this time of the year, I'm busy, and if I don't watch it, I will lose my voice before the expo. All right, Justin, where can everyone read about the research that you all have done on the product? I spoke to the fellows from Hidden Hollow last year about this product. They were going to get some information, but they didn't. Justin, if you could maybe enter some of that into the comments, or if you could get it to me, I can issue that out in Facebook posts and various things like that. Hey, Mr. Jeff. This is Jeff with Apis Tactical, another one of our fine vendors, and thank you so much for sponsoring several things yourself, Jeff. Yeah, he's saying that because this is one of his shirts, and some people are like, Cayman, why don't you wear any of our shirts? So I'm like, well, whenever you start coming out with shirts this cool, I'll wear them. Okay. He has about 4 or 5 different models, and my dad is jealous of them. And when I wore these to the American honey producers, I had several people coming up to me going, where did you get that from? Because we do need cool bee merchandise. And these shirts are very comfortable, good for a relaxed presentation like this, but also, they're not like super loud as far as they don't have a bunch of, big logos and stuff. So, you can wear this to church and stuff like that. I've definitely done it before. Depends on which type of church you go to. You get some of those classic Baptist churches, and you may need to get your suit and tie on, and be sure to be ready to shout amen.
They came in real quick. I wanted to join in and shout out you were talking about pre-orders.
Pre-orders.
You were talking about pre-orders from the different companies, and there are a couple companies who have stated that they are very limited in supplies they are bringing. And so I highly encourage people to pre-order as much as they can. I know 21st Bee, for instance, they have a finite amount of space.
Right.
So by pre-ordering, you will guarantee yourself the product. Obviously a lot of these companies are bringing stuff, but I know he's one. Apparently Jed is asking for pre-orders. I think, Jed, you should just bring a bunch of flat pieces of metal and to just show us at the show floor how you bend it into the extractors. That wouldn't take much time. So
I can't imagine there could be any type of legal ramifications of welding in an open area. Justin just messaged me and said that he's going to email me the research papers. I'll share them with you guys once I get them to you.
Tom, I can get that to you too.
Right. And so, Chris, you were saying something else.
Well, I was going to say, I know, like, for instance, and again, there's others, and this is what we this is what we kind of get into as the showrunners. But I know that Shenandoah let us know that they are completely out of their oh boy, what brand are they carrying? It's Acorn. Correct?
Acorn, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Their pre-sale is done. Shenandoah's, they sold out of their pre-sale. So I won't speak for them. I would assume they'd have some just a pickup at the expo. Maybe they won't though. But
I would imagine they would. But that's the thing though. For those who are not aware, we are already 200 plus people ahead of what we sold last year. So things have continued to go forward. And based on our estimates of what we're doing per day and also what we do day of, we're realistically looking at 400 more attendees, possibly 500 more attendees. And, not all of them haul product back because some of them fly and stuff. Wasn't there trying for a free Expo ticket tonight? Chris, did you brag about something like that?
Yeah. Well, I saw it on Jed Thorne's Facebook page that
Oh, he was buying one for
sponsoring.
someone.
Yep, he was
Man.
sponsoring a ticket tonight for somebody. So
I've never thought Jed was a bad dude. He's always been generous. That's, I think, his middle name. A lot of those, old school German Baptist types up there, they name their kids stuff like that. Jedediah, generous,
Thorne.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Okay.
Actually, I don't think it works like that at all.
Thank you, Tom.
Yes, we needed the laugh. But yes, how do people go about it and get their? What's the best way to start perusing the pre-orders for anyone who doesn't know already?
Sure. Yeah. Let me pull that up. I got it right here. So there's actually a couple different ways. If you look at all these people, all these people are saying apparently we're in the 21st B pre-order lobby.
Hey, Jimmy.
A lot of people are saying they got their pre-orders in. Okay, sorry, I'm pulling it up. I'm multitasking here. So if you have purchased a ticket and have not joined the app yet, the Hova app, I highly recommend you get on and do that. The app is really where it's happening. We have so many great conversations happening, meetups happening, discussions, and the best part is it's really not just about the bees. It's about, the Expo. There's a lot of discussions happening about like bees and how people keep bees. There we go. Perfect. Yep, there you go. And I mean, I think on the day here, Cayman, what does the number in the bottom say of how many active things since you looked last? What's that say? What is that number?
2,357.
Yeah. So again, there really are a lot of great conversations going on in that. So
there are, and you can meet up with, maybe your state has a meet and greet time or whatever, or and there's conversations about, hey, I really enjoy this product or this company. And so for those of you who aren't as familiar with the show and are trying to get quick on the uptake of what you really would like to maybe purchase or look into purchasing, you can find a lot of tips on there. Probably a couple idiots, but we can't. There's Craig Midgets out there that we just can't prevent all those type of people getting in there. And he means well. He really does. So he's not like a bad idiot.
He's a Photoshop genius. If you don't know.
Yeah, I know what you're going with. So go to the website.
Yep. So the website's a great place to go ahead and look at the orders. So what you'll see on the website is anyone who has a pre-order. We'll just scroll down and find the first pre-order place. So for instance, we were just talking about Jeff. Alphabetically, Jeff has some conference deals here. So if you click on this, it'll pop up his deals, which talk about 25% off. So you can look at that. If you're interested, I know some people are wanting to pre-plan exactly where they go. Scrolling back up to the top here, you're able to click on the floor plan here. I know it's small on the computer, but you can print it out. And you can zoom in and see everybody's numbers. And then off to the side here are all the different brands. So again, I know it's small on the computer. You can print it out. You can bring it. I don't have a new copy, but we did just send our 2026 Expo guide off to the printer. And in that, as always, is the trade show floor plan and the numbers and a lot of great sponsored items and everything else. So, yeah, I sent 2,000 of those.
This is so something that's really important. I sent 2,000 of those messages. So, folks, we just sent out an email blast literally to everybody. It was just like an hour and a half ago. For the North American Honey Bar, it also had a thing about, hey, don't forget to get the global patties from Hilco while the getting's good and get that semi-load pricing. But some people aren't getting them, and it depends on your email service provider. And what we're finding is, like, even with us, we'll send it to like 6 of our team, and some of us will get it to their inbox, and a lot of them it's going to the promotions area. And so you'll have, especially like in Gmail, right up there, you'll have your promotions tab, and that's usually where you get stuff that's, maybe you got some oil from Ford or something. They did a service on your vehicle, and that's what it sends Ford up there. It sends, Hilco, and it should send guys like Hilco kind of out of the way. But the Bee Expo, it shouldn't be like that. And that's where the internet is not perfect. Check your promotions, check your spam. We're going to be sending you more information about things. So definitely be watching that. But go to the website, check those out. And if there's a company that you're like, hey, I know that they typically do deals, or maybe you want to inquire, give them a call. Some of these companies like Dayton, you got to give them a call or go there and order. Some of the companies like Hilco, they literally have a whole section of their website, and so do other companies as well, Man Lake and others, and it's a little bit more streamlined. But yep, and the promotions in Gmail, dadgummit. We pay extra money just so that there's a chance that you guys will receive these things. And and we're more frustrated than anybody else is. We want everybody who's coming to be able to utilize the app easily and to know everything that's going on. And I understand that they're trying to protect people from spam and stuff like that, but we ain't it. Jimmy, I ordered the global patties along with other stuff. Don't tell Sharon. Okay, well, Jimmy, your secret is safe with us as long as she doesn't get on our live stream.
Yep. But yeah, real quick, Cayman too. So we're working on something really neat to be able to do here, hopefully the last week of December. So around New Year's Day, Eve, somewhere in there. We'll see. But we're looking to do an exclusive live stream to people inside of the app. So we don't have the details cranked on that yet, but we think that'll be something really cool to do. And again, you're only able to get into the app if you have a purchased ticket. And then we can get you in. So,
right.
We know there's some people who aren't into that kind of stuff, and that's fine too. But for those who are into the app, again, it's more than just all the stuff that's inside of the Expo guide, which again you'll get free of charge when you show up. But there's a lot of great community in there. There's a lot of interactive stuff. Every single speaker will have a polling system inside of it. So you can sit down with the speaker, and the speakers can give you polls. The workshops can do that. There's some of the different speakers will have Q&A. That'll be through the app. So there's a lot of really great features through it, and we're just literally just touching the very tip of the iceberg. This app really is very powerful, especially for a conference like ours. And so we're working on
next year too. So anyone who's figures part of it out this year, talk to your buddies about it. We're learning it as well, and so we'll be starting much earlier next year, and we'll just continue to utilize it more.
Well, hold on. You skipped over that.
Excuse me. So, hey, Alex, we are definitely doing a Bee Expo next year. It's a yearly event, and we usually bring in about 40 to 50 semi-loads of product. So it's a pretty serious event. We try not to waste people's time. It's the USA. We've got to, we got to be loud and proud about our beekeeping over here. And as much as the Canadians might be a little reluctant, we make them get loud and get proud about it too.
Yeah, we have a lot of really great new things coming this year. Like we have came and touched on the new North American Honey Bar. That's going to be. I think last I heard we had a little over maybe about 100 different honeys coming.
110.
200?
Yeah, the last
110. Okay, so yeah, I mean that's pretty awesome. And and we still have the honey swap going on. So if you do want to still do the honey swap, please bring your honey for that. Hives for Heroes graciously is. Let me go back to the honey swap. Honey swap's being done by the Honeybee Tennessee, Jessica and her team again. We need to get you some hot honey next time.
I need some hot honey right now to burn this out of my system. But yeah, the honey swap is by Honeybee Tennessee. And then the honey bar is the coordinator is Paula Messer. Thank you, Paula, again. And even though we have 110 entries, that doesn't mean we have only 110 jars, because there are several people who are bringing 2 or 3 of their honeys, because we are going to go through this pretty quickly. We're hoping to have probably a total of around 20-something jars per state or Canadian province. And the reason for this is there's different regions, different flavors, but also there's a lot of people coming to the show. And we'll be using a small sampler and stuff like that, but we'd like to have 3 or 4 on the table at a time and be able to reload those as needed. So as far as how much honey that we would like to have, Tom, like I said, we would like to have it, 8 per state.
But how many bottles for each person to bring? Isn't it 8
Well,
per
it's
person?
whatever. Some people are running 2 hives of bees and they feel like 1 bottle is all they can do. That's fine. If someone feels like they can do 3 or 4, that would be much appreciated. And what's going to happen is as we get closer, and we're starting to see this, especially with states that are closer, like Tennessee and Kentucky, that Paula is seeing that that's filling up, and she'll say, thank you, but unfortunately, we've already got enough for your state at this point. And we're this is our first year. We're going to see how it goes. And we want to make sure that it's a positive experience. So we're not getting overly ambitious. But we may find out that we run out a little bit on Saturday. I don't think so, based off of our intel. Yeah, Josh Hager is one of our panelists and also one of our vendors. And he does have really good hot honey. I do really like it.
Fantastic.
And
easily my top 3.
Well, it's got a lot of flavor to it. It's not just heat. That's what I really like about it. Yes. There's a lot of honeys that it's hot and it's not the bad honey, but this has got some extra spice to it. I do love it on some of Laurel's homemade chicken. Cayman, what do you think about the convention you went to overseas?
Give your 2 favorite things about Appimundia. To keep it short. 2 favorite things.
Well, one of my favorite things was their global honey bar, which is why we created the North American honey bar, because I think it's just really cool for beekeepers to be able to see honeys from white to motor oil black and the different flavors. We love bees. We love everything about it. So that's was one of my favorite takeaways. And I really enjoyed the European style trade show that they have over there. It was really cool. There's a lot of neat people, and I have a lot of friends outside of the United States because the YouTube has given me a little bit bigger of a outreach and helped me connect to a lot of people. So I was very excited to see Janos, the designer of the Instant Vap. That is just such a powerful machine. There's a knocked off version out there. It does not work good at all. We've got some guys that are testing them, and their base model is weaker than the smallest model of the Instant Vap. So yeah, you might save a few bucks, but you got to watch out for that. But Janos, guys like that, it was really neat to experience their conference. I'm very partial of our American event. The guy who runs it is super humble, down to earth. Some people say very, very close to the earth even. And
maybe the closest. Yeah,
maybe the closest. It's a different style, and my hats are off to them. Appimundia is a totally different machine, because to move from one country to the next, moving just from one venue to the next is absolutely running yourself through a torture chamber.
Yeah.
And
and
from one country is crazy.
And to add to that, I mean, again, we moved from Sevierville to Louisville, and there's some venue changes certainly, and the scale that we changed to as well. That makes a big difference. But I can't even imagine. Even the biggest one would be the cultural changes. So you want to talk about being able to like ship stuff, move stuff, whatever. That's a big deal. That's difficult. But for me, I think about the cultural changes. I mean, the culture across different countries is vastly different, and so that would be very challenging. So
yeah, it would just be a nightmare. So
I mean, and think about the next location is very culturally different than anywhere they've ever had it.
The United Emirates.
And so for a lot of people, I mean, you can look up the top 10 craziest things that you should definitely not do there, and it's quite an interesting list. So Chairman Lindsay Country.
Yeah, so I want to say a shout out to guys like Randy Southard, Josh Voorhees, Jeremy Lindsay, and some of the other guys in here that are part of our team and their staff. They're working really hard to help bring this show to the high standard that you guys expect. But every year the goal is to take it beyond that. You need a bunch of deep frames. What should I get a price for the money? So are you talking about at my show or just somewhere else? Like not just to get some B frames, because if you're looking for an American company, we have several good ones. I'm pretty sure, Alex, you're not in the United States, but I could be wrong. There's another Alex, if it's not you, that's in another country. As far as American style frames, we have some great companies. If we're going for quality, it's definitely not the cheapest. I really like the Premier frames. They glue them really good. The joints are good. Okay, you're in Indiana. I'm sorry, Alex. I thought you were the Alex from Europe, and it's hard to keep track of everybody. So Indiana, that foreign country,
yeah,
they ought to make frames out of corn up there. I mean, they do everything else. So Indiana, there's a lot. Dogwood Ridge, or what is now Growing Successes in Indiana. It's in Evansville. They've got some good stuff. They're going to be at our show. Hilco is in Illinois. They have good woodenware. There's
if
several.
You go, depending on where she's at, if you go just north, Beeline's just up in Michigan.
So
I know Hilco carries that, but I mean it's right there too.
That's the problem with like the name Alex too, is like there was a guy and a girl in that photo. I'm assuming it's a guy, and that could be really wrong. So I apologize, Alex, if you're a lady. No one expects perfection with my channel. It's just happens. Yes. So Beeline does supply several companies, many companies, then Dayton has their frames, Man Lake has their frames, but if you're going for cost, Hilco has got some good specials. Growing Success is close to you. If I'm going for like a premium frame, though, I have to go Premier. I just love that joint work. The biggest problem I have with the Premier frames is that sometimes they use a little bit too much glue, which is awesome. And a couple of my frames will stick together and I have to pull them apart. That's what I want to see, because that glue is going to keep that frame working for a decade or more if you take care of it.
And two, I'll throw it out there. Indiana is obviously kind of a rectangular in shape. If you're down near the Cincinnati area of Indiana, Happy Acres too is a great bee shop, and they're near Cincinnati. And they've been awesome vendors of ours for a long time. I don't know who they carry. I bet they probably carry several different ones, but yeah, Kevin and his team there at Happy Acres are awesome.
I haven't, and they probably do. I haven't seen any of their frames, and that's where you have to kind of do, take what I say. Okay, you're a he.
Just move on. Just move on. Just move on.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. See, this is why we hire Chris.
I'm having a drink.
That's right. So I'm just going to go over a few more things here.
Yep. Let's wrap it.
And then wrap it like a Christmas package, baby. And I would go longer, but I got to protect my voice for the show. So I want to give a couple updates. Again, the Honey Bar, we need more help. Definitely. Yep, Hummerbee, great machines, American company. Love that. For anyone who's wanting the book, there's going to be plenty at the show. There's going to be books at the Bee Supply, and there's also going to be books at my Bee Expo booth, my merch booth. Paul was asking earlier about T-shirts and stuff. Paul, we're still working on those. I don't know if we're going to get around to pre-orders. It may just be day of sales. I'm sorry I didn't get to that. And thank you for donating again. I appreciate that very much. This book, The Golden Rules of Beekeeping, is designed to help you get your skills up. Blake and I both, between the two of us, have decades of experience. It doesn't mean we know everything, but we have a lot of friends that know a lot. And, Blake's run 30,000 colonies, and I've done, a couple. And it doesn't feel like much. I should have started with myself and then went to Blake afterwards, but I'll do that when we get on stage.
You can start with me first. That really sets the bar real low.
And Chris has, what do you have?
A hive or two.
Yeah.
Hive or two. Hey, real quick, hold on these books though, just because it's a question that's been brought up. So the Bee Supply is set up for shipping large things. So when they're shipping, a small book, shipping's difficult. Shipping's difficult now anyways, but people were talking about shipping prices. So they have added 2 different pickup styles, and you actually get to save a couple bucks. And the shipping is now $5 flat rate. So shipping was like when it first came out, shipping was like $20-$30 for the book. They figured it out. There were some little hiccups.
Like $5, depending on where you are at, of course.
But you can pick it up at the Expo now not the book isn't free, but the shipping is included in the delivery at the expo.
And
So
you actually get $1 off at the show if we get a
Yep.
signature on it. So if you get your book autographed, and we're going to have a signing after the panel discussion, we will announce the location of that. It's going to be likely in the lobby, and we'll have a table set up, and we'll sign it. And if we sign your book and devalue it for you, we will give you $1 to make up for that devaluing. Yeah, I mean, pretty much like that, with a little bit more than that. Like, information about issues with bucket feeders versus frame feeders versus how do we preserve our syrup, what works, what damages bees, queen rearing techniques, different styles of splits, treatments, and how to use them, and maybe what to watch out for, how to use a split with a treatment, swarm traps, and a few other odds and ends, and why Cayman Reynolds taught Blake most of what he knows about beekeeping. And probably
he's never gonna come back on here.
Well, the thing of Blake is
which is fine. It's fine.
Blake's a nice guy. He'll deal with it. The North American Honey Bar, we need more honey from every state currently at this point, and definitely more in Canada. We are making big progress. Help us out.
If you click on the link in the on the Facebook post, it walks you through exactly how to do it. Again, it's not. Yes, there's some questions, but again, we want to make sure we're doing this properly. So it's not difficult. This will take you less than 5 minutes to fill out. And while it's not an advertisement for your company, it is a great advertisement for your company and for your area. If you're known in your area for you keep talking about meadow foam. Meadow foam, whatever. If you're the person who has that, that's a great representation of that monofloral. So,
oh man, I mean, if someone had meadow foam and brought it to the show and then wanted to sell it at a premium and ship it out, I'm going to be doing that. A bunch of people would, especially if you have a unique honey. A lot of us, like myself, just have a wildflower of blackberry and tulip poplar and stuff, and we definitely do want that. So when do your royalties kick in for that book? Who's Zach again?
I don't know.
I don't know this guy.
I heard he's just marooned on an island somewhere.
That's right. Hawaiian beekeeping is not even real beekeeping, by the way, folks. They just sit there. They kick out a lawn chair, watch the bees bring the macadamia nut honey in. They just go in, and there's like 10 queens in one hive, and they just pluck one up and put it in a cage and ship it. It's not real beekeeping, folks. The weather's perfect every day. The bees never sting. The beekeepers never work. And Zach, if you come to my show, I'll waive your ticket if you sit on maybe a panel discussion with me, as long as you don't talk about any of the mistakes that I've made, which is your favorite topic. Zach's an old friend, a little too old, and a little too close. I'll go after Blake. Oh gosh, don't pick on the nice guy. Don't pick on the skinny fella. He can't handle the stress. He can't afford to lose 5 pounds.
No.
Right, back to it. Again, everybody check your emails, checking your promotions tab. We're going to be sending you a lot of stuff about the expo, pickup location. So be on the lookout in your promotions, in your spam, for multiple emails between now and the show. The Bee Expo dinners. So we are just about full up on the Beehive and barbecue. And due to people requesting, and also we think it would be a little bit more fun, we are allowing a handful of spots for the buzz and banter on Wednesday night. And so a lot of people aren't in on Wednesday night, but this is primarily for the VIPs. My crew, I'll be there. I'll be there both nights. Guys like Randy McCaffrey and Mr. Ed, Frederick Dunn, stuff like that. And then, of course, we're going to have a lot of vendors in. And this is what we're trying to get as many vendors to show up as possible, because this is an opportunity for us and for them to collaborate and talk before things get really busy at the show. So if you would care to join us, we're going to do 50 tickets for the buzz and banter for attendees. Everything else is going to be for vendors and staff and stuff. And that'll be a lot more low key than the Beehive and barbecue, which was likely going to be around 350 plus people, no more than 400.
Yep.
Isn't that right?
Tickets are going fast too. So I don't want to say they'll sell out tonight. I won't make that claim, but
No,
but I will say one last thing too. While for everyone on here for the hotels, we've talked about this ad nauseum, but I will say that we have sold as many as like 3 full hotels worth of rooms all at once for the Crown. So if you haven't booked a room yet and you'd like to stay at the Crown with us, we understand you can probably find a hotel deal somewhere cheaper in Louisville. We understand that. But if you'd like to stay with us at the Crown, again, no joke. I think at this point we'll have sold
it's 300
almost
wasn't it?
375 of their rooms. I don't know how many rooms they have, but it's maybe 500. I mean, like we have to. We're on the way of.
Well,
like,
that's what we
well
want. We
over-
want to dominate this space. This
Yep.
is the Beekeeper Hotel. Anyone who's not a beekeeper there needs to feel out of place and ashamed that they showed up
Nope,
without
I
any
didn't say that.
beekeeping gear.
Okay. Oh,
we're
at
not-
the hotel. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
at
thought you
the
were
hotel,
guilting
yeah.
people for staying somewhere else. Yeah.
No,
But there
no,
are great
I want to
deals.
say that about our people. That there's other people staying at other hotels, and they need to have their bee stuff over there too. And there's several other events going on, so just that's where the app is handy. You have people that are talking about like Matt with Comfort Pros, Beaks and Brews, and then you have the Hives for Hero event, and you have a few other things. Hive Alive sometimes does an event.
Hold on, you missed one. The no life beekeepers.
Well, they have no life, and so I just don't really think about them much.
Jeez, oh Pete. Okay, well, sorry, Tom. If Tom's
Yeah,
still on. He's
well, I mean,
probably
it's
just
Tom
curled
Sostman. I
over.
mean, I don't think about Tom all the time. I know he thinks that I think about him all the time. No, I think about how much restraint his wife has for not bludgeoning his face all the way to the back of his skull.
Okay,
Which is,
we need to move on.
Look,
Lord.
we're only an hour and 15 minutes into this,
I
but I
know.
did tell you we'd cut out at 110. So, guys, if you want your hotel, hurry up and get it now. These things are filling up fast. And all right, so book.
If
North
you're a
American Honey
vendor,
Bar?
if you're a vendor, watch settle down. If you're a vendor, watch your emails. I'll be sending out a lot of emails in the next 26 days. We have a lot of details coming out, so I won't go over them today. This isn't a vendor. This is not a vendor. I will say, watch out. Cayman and I are going to be doing a fun little video, hopefully doing a little video series coming up here about the Expo. So we got to get our ducks in a row on that. So
100%. And 200 pounds of Hive from Western New York. Guys, Western New York is where I'm moving my bees next summer.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that's a really
Pennsylvania.
good year.
That's Fred Dunn. That's Fred Dunn territory over there.
Well, Zach was talking about Hawaiian honey, and Zach semi avoids trying to produce it because he's focused on queen production. And then somehow he's like, dang it, we had another 280-pound year, 300-pound year, and we're trying to keep all this honey out of these darn queen rearing nukes. But he's searching around where can we find a yard that'll feed the bees, but they can't make a honey crop on for these mating nukes? And I'm just like, you disgust me.
I'm
Chris, you send too many emails. Jed, you don't read enough emails.
Yeah, amen.
I know you vendors.
Jeremy has the right approach. I like
that's
that.
right. I know you're busy, Jed. So are we. But this is the North American Honeybee Expo. This isn't your little podunk.
Wisconsin conference. Yeah.
Well, I want to say that because I was thinking to say that, and then I was thinking, well, you got the other expo up there.
I mean, I didn't say their expo. You said I was talking about Wisconsin. In general,
I was just a podunk. But
yeah,
as far as that goes, everyone brace. This is going to be a big show. Like I said, 400 more people by our estimates, and possibly 500. And so far, every metric is going the right direction. So global patties, again, that semi is almost full. There's just a couple pallets left. And one of the companies just reached out to me and said they're getting their order together on how many they want to get. And they usually get at least a pallet. So the global patty order, $2.10 a pound. It's on the Hilco website, and you order from them. Boom, you're done. You show up to John Hill's booth, and they have them ready for you right there. Chris, you said the Thursday dinner emails are coming soon.
Yes. To answer, yes, yes, they are, as well as anyone who's booked a hotel through Louisville Tourism. Those are coming soon as well. You said, to address the global patty, you talked about that. So John also mentioned they will have, if any are left off the semi that aren't pre-ordered, they will have them there available for pickup, but they will be more expensive at the expo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
they
so
always
if you do want some,
so,
get some now.
Yeah, Hilco buys a bunch of them at the show, and then if you don't pre-order, they are for sale there, but it is not the semi-load pricing. That's one of the perks that John gets for handling all those logistics. But it's still a much better price than you could get them shipped. But save yourself some money. I was just looking online at some of the companies that you buy a pre-made patty with 4% pollen, Apis Biologics, shipped to your door. If you get enough to get free shipping, it's still like $6.50 a pound. We're at $2.10 a pound. So that you can save yourself a little bit of money if you use pollen patties. Hey, cool. Alex, thanks for coming on, sir. And we appreciate you joining us. Everyone, thank you so much. I told Chris an hour and 10 minutes. On the pre-order t-shirts, Paul, we'll just wrap up with that last question. We likely are not going to have any pre-orders this year. It's just going to be in-person merch, and we've just been prioritizing other things and haven't got it done. But thank you guys for your time. We will give you updates. Any big news, you will hear it from us, and expect to hear a lot from us over the next few weeks. So, Paul, thank you for supporting us yet again. Thanks for all of our members in the chat group for being our members and being a part of what we do here and what we do there. And I'm excited to announce some new additions in January post-conference and getting more help creating YouTube content for everybody. So, all right, Chris, we're out of here. We're like a fart in the wind. We're just gone.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
That sounded like a heartbeat, Chris. What was up with that?
I don't know.